Welcome back to the Playbook, guys. We have episode 2 of the new year. Today, I'll be your host, Colin Schofield, here with my co-sports editor, Sienna Conaghan, and assistant sports editor, Jacob Moreno. Guys, how are we feeling today? Playbook episode number 2.
I'm feeling pretty good. That's all I have to say. I'm now going back to last year of not speaking.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Feeling pretty good as well. That's all I'm going to say as well.
I got 2 Sienna Conaghans with me. Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Well, we've had a very full last 2 weeks of Temple athletics, from the non-rev side to the football side, even some basketball news for you guys as well. So we have a packed episode today, and we're going to jump right in, and we're going to start with a Temple football team that, since we last recorded, was on 2 very opposite sides of the spectrum in terms of success. In week 2, 2 weeks ago, they had a 55-7 win against Howard. Looked really good. Everything was firing on all cylinders. Evan Simon continued to look good. 329 rushing yards. Defense was spectacular. Everything you could have wanted. But, that was an FCS school. And the real test came on Saturday, this past Saturday against Oklahoma. And you could tell it was a big uptick in competition. Temple lost 42-3 to the 13th-ranked Sooners. The offense was essentially non-existent. They had 104 total yards after totaling 400 or more in each of the first 2 games. They only had 7 first downs all game. The rushing attack really struggled to get going. You could see the Oklahoma defense was just full of athletes and guys who were flying all over the field. Temple's defense was not actually as bad as stats may indicate. Yes, they gave up 42 points, 500 yards, but they were on the field a ton because the offense couldn't get the ball moving. They had 6 tackles for loss, a couple of sacks. They had 5 straight drives without allowing a touchdown, which against a team like Oklahoma is very good. So look beyond the stats, defense kind of provided some light and otherwise really bad loss. But guys, what were some of your takeaways from that loss to Oklahoma? Yeah, just from the loss to Oklahoma.
You said it, but the biggest thing is the defense wasn't in. I think I was heading into the game, I was most concerned about the defense. Honestly, they have not been playing the cleanest to start the season. It wasn't terrible, but there was definitely room for improvement. But if the defense didn't play like it did, it would have been a much, much worse outcome than it was.
Yeah, and to Sienna, and your point, Cameron Stewart, Sekou Kroma, they were both fantastic. And I think the biggest thing that stood out defensively is just how much pressure they put on Mateer. Obviously, Mateer did the secondary a few times, but still overall great pressure. And they honestly gave Temple just a shot just to keep the game competitive, especially in the second half where Ty Davis picked off Mateer's pass. And Temple got it within Oklahoma's red zone, but only managed to come up with a field goal. So I think that, along with them going 3 and out in their first drive, kind of set the tone for the game and just not being able to capitalize.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I was gonna say, after the game, Casey Keeler mentioned that he was telling his guys all week that they had to start the game strong, and they chose to what did they choose? Coin toss. Thank you. Casey Keeler was telling his guys all week that they needed to start strong, and they won the coin toss and then chose to receive the ball to start, but they weren't able to get a touchdown. And then Keeler, after the game, kind of mentioned maybe that was something that kind of got in their head. Keeler had been saying all week, we need to start fast, we need to get up, we need to go, and then them not being able to. He said that maybe that kind of brought their mindset down a little bit. I don't think mindset is the right word.
Morale.
Yeah, their morale. Thanks. Yeah, it kind of brought their morale down a little bit.
Yeah, and Jacob, you kind of threw out the name John Mateer there as Oklahoma's quarterback. Big scrambler, big arm, really hurt them. And now in week 4, they're going to be playing another similar style quarterback in Haynes King from Georgia Tech. A Georgia Tech team coming off a major win against a ranked Clemson team, where now Georgia Tech finds themselves ranked 18th coming into this game against Temple. Georgia Tech's 3-0. Haynes King is a Heisman contender. He has played very well so far this year. That he likes to run the ball. Georgia Tech likes to run the ball at you. So it's going to be another really tough test. Guys, what are we going to have to see out of this Temple team next week? Even if it's not even in a win, but a more competitive loss. What are we looking to see on Saturday against Georgia Tech?
I would say the defense obviously could have been better, but I would say the same defense from last week, the offense needs to figure out something to get going.
Yeah, I think definitely too what Sienna said. Defensively, I think if they can maintain that pressure, pressure, their quarterback like they did Materia this past week, they have a good shot at keeping things at least respectable. But offensively, like Sienna said, like all of us said, like need more cohesion, they need more variety because throughout the game in Oklahoma, they didn't really have anything that consistently worked, and they just kind of looked like they were scrambling for answers a lot, especially on those third down play calls. Like when they did have an opportunity to get a drive going, like Oklahoma immediately pressured Evan Simon, and he didn't really even have time to react. So just trying to get more play variety, whether it's passes or running the ball and utilizing all other running backs, or just looking for a little more cohesion just on both ends.
Yeah, it's going to be another tall task for them against Georgia Tech. And it's a really good Georgia Tech team coming off a big win, a lot of momentum. It's going to take a lot for this town team to pick up an upset. And following Georgia Tech, they have their first bye week of the year. Could offer a really nice reset before they head into conference play where they open with UTSA at home and then homecoming against Navy the week after that. But I think it's kind of Temple football talk for so far because we have a lot of non-revenue sports to talk about as well. And let's open up with, I think, was probably been the best non-revenue team so far, which has been the field hockey team. Last time we talked to you guys, they were off to a 2-0 start, pretty solid start. Since then, they have continuously improved. They lost to Monmouth 5-2 on September 5th before rattling off 3 straight wins as of right now. 3-1 win against Bucknell on September 7th, 1-0 win against Lafayette on September 12th, and then 4-1 win against Lehigh on September 14th. As we currently record, they're set to play at Drexel tonight, which is Tuesday night. That result will not be had by the time this is posted, but chance to continue that winning streak. But overall, we've seen a really solid offense, especially from players like Peyton Rager, Lucia Magro, and Mara Lenting have all played really strong. Peyton Rager especially just won Big East Offensive Player of the Week. That just came out before we started recording. Lucia Magro and Mara Lenting have been really good as freshmen as well. And then Alex Lepore has kind of been a story in goal. She has really started to take control of that goalie position from Isabella Hospital. Guys, either of you have any thoughts on what we've seen from the field hockey team so far the last couple weeks? It seemed that is really playing strong.
I think Alex Lepore has been doing really good because, she didn't get the first couple starts, right? It was Hospital, yeah. So she didn't get the first 2 starts to start the season, but she's played in all 6 games so far, and she's just really gone out there and played hard from the second she gets on the field. So I'd say I'm impressed with her being able to kind of for those first 2 games to stay on the sidelines until she was needed, and then just go out there and immediately work to help the team.
Both of you guys said just see if they can continue that momentum heading into Drexel tonight.
Yeah, and we kind of go, next time we'll see you guys who have played 4 more games since then. They played Drexel, as we record again, Tuesday night, the 16th, at Drexel, and then Big East play gets started, and that's where all the marbles are. That's how you get into the Big East tournament. They start at Georgetown, return home to play a usually pretty solid and pretty competitive Villanova team, a team that's given them trouble the last couple of years. And then they will play at home against Richmond in an out-of-conference game as well. Guys, anything you're looking forward to see from this team going into conference play? Things they can continue to do well to keep that momentum, especially in those first 2 conference games?
This is not the question you asked, but I'm interested to see the game against Villanova. I know that's not what you asked, but I think that'll be, second game of conference play. They'll have their home field, which is nice, but I think, like you said, topping Villanova has been, definitely something in the last couple seasons. So I think seeing how they play against them is going to be interesting. And, I think if they take that win, it'll bring them momentum to kind of finish out the season, or a good starting point of conference play.
Oh, got it.
All right, so that's kind of it from the field hockey team for right now. Again, really strong team as of right now, but conference play is going to be the true test of what Michelle Batiste has in her freshman and Alex Lepore, and that'll get started later this week. And we move into the men's soccer team that, man, feels like they're on the verge of a breakthrough at points. Feels like they're close. It feels like this team has talent. There's talent in goal. There's talent on defense, but they just cannot break through right now. They currently sit with an 0-4-2 record and have played 2 games since the last time we recorded. 1-1 tie with Army, where they took their first lead of the season in that game, but weren't able to hold it, resulted in a tie. And then their first conference game, they played Missouri State, where they were just kind of outmatched, 4-0 loss. And it was really been the same story all year. This has not been a team that's been able to produce goals. 2 goals all year. Really, really poor offense as of right now. Kind of one of the main good points this team has been goalkeeper Diego Dazier. He has provided some fresh life in goal, has really impressed outside of a 4-0, kind of poorer showing against Missouri State. Still made some good saves, but what have we seen from the last couple games from this men's soccer team, guys?
No offense. Like, I mean, that's really what it is. Like, to put it in perspective, they have 35 shots this season. Their opponents have 86. So, like, Temple has 35 shots, and their opponents have 38 shots on goals.
Yeah.
So their opponents are, like, as it is right now, have more shots on goal than Temple has shots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like you said, the Diego Dazier, he's doing good to stop, like, what he can, but it's not being matched on the other side of the field.
Yeah, but no, like you both said, Temple's defense is held really firm. I'm looking at the Ohio State Wilson Classic where they tied with Dayton and then just lost 1-2 to Ohio State. So there is some stuff there, like the defense, but a lot of the times, as we've seen this season, defense will just be amazing. But once a team scores, it's really been tough for Temple to kind of keep it competitive because of their lack of just offensive firepower across the board. But Diego Dazier has been great anchoring that defense. So if that can translate and they can find some success offensively, I think they are in for somewhat of a resurgence heading into conference play.
And remember, this is a team last year, guys, who was pretty far out of the conference tournament with about 5 games left. It seemed like they did not have much of a chance to go into the postseason, but they did not suffer a single loss in the last 5 games and rallied their way into the American Conference tournament. They ultimately lost in the first round, but them being winless right now, that doesn't mean the season's over. Like, yeah, it's been a tough go for them, but there's definitely winnable games coming up. It starts it's the same night we're recording this, same thing field hockey. Tuesday night, the 16th, they're hosting Lafayette before they jump into another conference game with Florida Atlantic on September 21st. And one more out-of-conference game. They're at Monmouth on September 26th. So a chance continue to really try to break out of a tough spell offensively. Their offense wasn't great last year. It's taken another step back this year. But a chance for things to continue to try to turn around as they need to start making a push for that conference tournament. The women's soccer team also suffering some struggles right now. 2-1 loss to St. Joe's on September 4th. 2-1 loss to LIU on September 7th. And then a 4-2 loss in their conference opener to South Florida. They have lost 5 straight games and are just 2-7 on the season after starting 2-2. It felt like a pretty good fresh start. Feels like it's in the rearview mirror right now. They are still winless on the road. What's gone wrong here, guys?
I think we have to remember that this is still a very young team. This program, it still is in more of a rebuilding stage. Shaw is just in his 2nd year, but they have made some strides. Just unfortunately, just seem to have been enduring growing pains. As you said, they're 0-6 on the road. They're on a 5-game losing streak, and so far 0-1 in conference play. So you just kind of have to look at the positives. It's still a developmental season. Valentina Bitterwolf's been also a good start. Shari Atkins is still providing what she can. So hopefully the offense start clicking at some point, but I don't know. I just feel like, rebuilds are never really you can never one season start losing and then completely turn around unless you have like complete superstar talent. So hopefully they can start to catch some fire soon.
Yeah, and you mentioned like looking at the positives. So they did lose 4-2 against South Florida, but they won the second half, which is something that the team was proud of, and head coach Chris Shaw was impressed with. They allowed 3 goals in 4 minutes from South Florida. They had a goal in between there, and then those were all in the first half. And then the second half, the only goal was from Temple. So they're starting to kind of find their form. Had their defense and offense working together in the second half to be able to, win that half 1-0. But yeah.
Yeah. Now this is a team that next time we'll talk to you guys, will have played 4 more games. 3 of them being in American Conference play. On Thursday, September 18th, they will be at Tulsa before coming home for one last non-conference game where they take on Lincoln, Pennsylvania. I think that's either D2 or D3 school, so maybe a potential get right game for them there for fully into conference play September 25th. Host Rice September 28th at Florida Atlantic. And we move on to the last non-rev team. Another team that is really, I think Sienna, I think you especially agree, has kind of played pretty well so far, and that is the Temple volleyball team. They won, so after losing 2 of 3 in their first invite of the year, in the Georgetown GW tournament, they swept through, only losing 1 set, lost 1 set to George Washington, swept North Carolina Central, swept Georgetown. And then they lost to Villanova in a singular home match on September 10th. They got swept by them 3-0. And then they went to the Rose Hill Classic where they won 2 of 3 against Fairleigh Dickinson, Fordham, and Hofstra. So a team that I think seems like they're playing a little bit better. But Sienna, I'm going to defer this over to you as our chief volleyball person over here. What have you seen from this team? What has worked for them? What has gotten them to a 6-4 record so far?
Yeah, there were a lot of new pieces heading into the season, but they've clicked very quickly, I would say. It feels like they've found their form, they have the chemistry. It just feels like they're clicking really well together. And then there's a lot of people who are stepping up for the team that didn't provide a lot of production last year. There were a lot of questions heading into the season without Taylor Davenport and Sydney Jones. But someone who has been stepping up is outside hitter Olivia Hummel. This weekend, especially, she kind of made it known that this season she's gonna be a threat. So in the FDU match, she set a career high in kills with 15 and then aces with 4. And then the next day, she set a career best 19 digs. And then the next day, she topped her career best 19 digs with 21. So, I think the trajectory. I think the trajectory of Olivia Hummel is going to be really promising for the team moving forward.
Yeah, you talked about Olivia Hummel and someone else who has stepped up, transferred from Georgia Tech as outside hitter Leah Harper. So her and Hummel have kind of helped, fill that void of Taylor Davenport and Sydney Jones, because in this past tournament this weekend, Leah Harper notched a career high 18 kills against Fordham. So having those two players kind of reshape this Temple volleyball team, and what's sort of like a retool-ish type of year.
Yeah, and those 2 players especially going to be important as this team gets closer to American Conference play. They have one more tournament, which is at home, the Chain White Invitational. They'll take on Presbyterian on Friday, September 19th, Quinnipiac on Saturday, September 20th, and then Dartmouth on September 21st. And then they will play at Penn on Tuesday, September 23rd, before they get into conference play, which they will start off at Rice on September 26th, at Tulane on September 28th. Now, this is a volleyball team that past couple of years has really struggled in American Conference play. Sienna, what do they have to do to prevent another fall off in American Conference play and get into that conference tournament?
Yeah, I think this season feels a little more promising. It's happened at least all 3 years that the 2 seasons that I've been at Temple. The volleyball team has done pretty good in their non-conference schedule and then kind of fall off during the conference schedule. But this season, it kind of seems like they're clicking a lot sooner than they have before, and kind of finding those, finding what works for them, finding their groove. It seems like that's happening a lot quicker than it has the past 2 seasons I covered them. So, they really just have to continue that. I know that Linda Hampton-Keith, she always has different people come in to help the team in some way. Last year they had somebody come in to talk about mindset things, I believe, and this season they have someone talking about team culture things, how they want to communicate with each other. So I think they really just need to stick to those things that they work on, the little things that they work on, to not get down on themselves in sets or matches where they're trailing, and then just continue the chemistry that they seem to have right now.
Yeah, this is a team that has looked very promising so far, but their history in American Conference play the last couple of years not been ideal. So hopefully this is a team that can maybe stick things out through conference play and get in that conference tournament. But that's kind of the wrap up for the the sports from the week. But we also have some basketball news for you as basketball season slowly approaches. We are getting schedules coming out. The women's basketball non-conference schedule was released last week and features 5 home games, 4 road games. The Big 5 Classic, the Big 5 Championship on December 7th at Finneran Pavilion again. Temple women's basketball is going to play at Villanova and host LaSalle for their 2 pod games. And then for the first time since 2019, they're playing in a Thanksgiving week tournament. They're going to be in Nassau, Bahamas for the Bahamar Hoops Classic. They play Michigan State on November 28th, and then we'll play either Clemson or Western Carolina in either a consolation game if they lose or the championship game if they win. Other than that, it's kind of typical schedule stuff. They're at West Virginia, always a really good West Virginia program. They're at Richmond, always a very good Richmond program. 2 really tough road games. And then they're at Princeton, a really good Princeton program as well. So a few really tough road games, but last year they played all those teams at home, a tough non-conference schedule last year, another tough non-conference schedule this year. And then the women's basketball team will kick off on November 3rd against George Mason. And then they were recording this on Tuesday, September 16th. The men's non-conference schedule came out, which will feature a host of home games, only 2 true road games, and then also a Thanksgiving weekend tournament. Thanksgiving week tournament. They will be playing in the Terry's Chocolate ESPN Events Invitational, where they'll be playing UC San Diego on November 24th, either Bradley or Princeton on November 25th, and then a to-be-determined team on November 26th based on other results from that tournament. Interesting wrinkle, they host Princeton on December 22nd. They could be playing Princeton twice. Little odd there. And other than that, the Big 5 Classic Championship December 6th at now Xfinity Mobile Arena. They also host Villanova. December 1st is their pod game. And to play at Villanova, host LaSalle. Welcome in Boston College, and then open up the season on November 5th against Delaware State. Guys, any big takeaways from the schedules being released, or is this just, kind of getting ready for basketball season here?
I mean, I think it's just kind of getting ready into basketball season, which I'm definitely excited for.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think for the men's side, I'm a little interested because they have just had such a heavy amount of roster turnover. So having these non-conference games, not against lesser opponents, but non-conference opponents, is a good opportunity for them to kind of get acclimated with each other. So I expect we might see some growing pains, but also some encouraging signs as well. See if Aiden, Tobias, and Babatunde they'll kind of take that next step as both leaders and just top players on this team on the court.
So you mentioned that roster change, and they got a new addition. Temple men's basketball got its first commit of the 2026 class in guard Derek Moreno Rivera. He plays at Father Judge High School here in Philly. He's ranked as the fifth best recruit in Philly and in Pennsylvania, and the 28th best shooting guard. And he is, last season he averaged 17.2 points and was named PCL Boys Basketball All-Catholic First Team on the way to Father Judge's championship season.
Yeah, Morton Rivera offers a really strong pickup for the first class 26 commit, like you said, for Adam Fisher. Really good start for the recruiting cycle for them. Really good young guard. Good things to see there. And kind of wrap things up here, we got a little bit of cross country, a little bit of golf here. The cross country team kicked off their fall season last weekend. They played at Penn State in the Harry Grove Spiked Shoe Invitational. Fortunately, the men's and women's teams both placed last out of the total fields for them. But there were encouraging results from the individual players. On the men's side, Francesco Candiani finished 41st. And then on the women's side, Dagny Schiffler finished 62nd. So a couple encouraging performances there as they get ramped in the fall play here. And then lastly, the golf team getting ready to get their season started. Their fall season starts on September 22nd and 23rd with the Temple Invitational. And then on September 29th and September 30th, they will play at ECU for the I-1 Collegiate Classic. So kind of a couple weekend tournaments for them, as well as, some not sports that don't get as much coverage, get as much love, kind of get started as well. But I think that was kind of all the content we had for you guys today. I know full couple weeks of Temple athletics this Past couple weeks, a lot happened, but how are we feeling, guys? How are we feeling about Temple Athletics right now?
I mean, they're definitely in full swing now. Just kind of seeing how each team finishes out their season, continues going, who breaks out, who kind of doesn't do as well as maybe expected. Just excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, same here. I mean, a lot of the non-revs for fall is kind of in a similar situation in terms of just getting sort of a retool, so seeing how can they progress from the start to the end of the season.
Yeah, and that's kind of all we had here. Guys, do either of you remember where we can find our, you can't look, no looking, no
I
looking.
know.
Do either of you know where we can find our content on social media?
Why both looking at me?
You want to go? Because I know.
Yeah. Instagram, TTN_sports.
So close.
So confident.
That's the Twitter.
Okay, you can find us on X at TTN_sports, Instagram at TTN.sports.
Excellent job, Jacob. And you can find all of our coverage for this year and more at temple-news.com. Guys, that's temple-news.com.
.com.
Thank you guys for watching.